Over the past 4 seasons, the Oklahoma City Thunder have won more games than all but 2 other teams. And in that time, they've gone to the NBA Finals once and the Western Conference Finals twice. Without question, the player most responsible for their ascendance is reigning MVP Kevin Durant. But what happens now that KD is sidelined 6 to 8 weeks with a Jones fracture in his foot? We spent time last week looking at the optimal lineups for head coach Scott Brooks, but most of that goes out the window as this injury leaves a gigantic gap in their production. This all comes down to how well will Russell Westbrook exist in a lineup without his all-NBA running mate. There isn't much to go on over the past several seasons since Russ almost never got to play on the court without Durant. However, here's what the numbers tell us. During the regular season last year, Russ played 39 minutes without KD, and these two numbers stand out. While his effective field goal percentage actually went up half a point from his overall season average, of the 85 guards that took at least 500 shots, he ranked 57th, and his usage rate was astronomically large. Last year, his overall usage rate of 34.4% led the league, so one can only imagine what will happen. His playoff usage rate went down slightly, but his field goal percentage plummeted, an indication of what happens when good teams with defensive systems can gear up to stop him. By the way, the on-off numbers I used for Russ were from NBAWowie.com, an incredible tool that's not only extremely useful, but fun to play around with, so check it out. Now, let's look at some of the sets the Thunder ran when Russ was in the game and Durant was on the bench. The Thunder love to run this strange set where the big man comes to ball screen, but the point guard passes just as he gets there. To me, it's wasted movement. However, I can see the argument that it brings the opponent's big man out of the lane and open up a drive on the other side of the court, but to me, this should be Russ receiving the pass every time to let him attack. Instead, it's pretty stagnant and they tend to only get tough shots. Without Durant, the Thunder rely mainly on high pick and rolls and the ability of their individual parts to make shots. Here's Russ demonstrating putting your defender in jail, just like Ty Lawson showed us, and he makes a good decision to find Adams for the dunk. However, most of the half-court offense we went through without KD showed very stagnant sets with almost no weak side screens, which resulted in consistently tough shots. With Durant out, Russ needs to avoid his habit of passing and just standing in place, or drifting out on the perimeter. This allows the defense to be in better position to defend his teammates. Of course, this could very well be a coaching issue as much as it is a Russ thing, but it needs to change against the better defenses. When they do get Russ off the ball and let Reggie Jackson run the pick and roll out top, they did get better action, at least in the playoffs. This is a function of the attention Russ tends to draw from the defense on the weak side, and Jackson is arguably a better decision maker anyway and has better timing on his passes. There will be times when Russ must sit, and here are a few examples of what they ran without either of them. Here's a bizarre horn set that has both corners crossing along the free throw line. Completely wasted movement with no purpose to these cuts, and they won't have D Fish to bail them out. They do like to run horns, and you can see that it does generate much needed movement to create makeable shots, but it appears the offense itself won't do much to help the rest of the team score their buckets. Arturo Galletti over at Box Score Geeks put together an analysis of how OKC would do versus the Western Conference with and without Kevin Durant. You can see here that with him, their projected rank was second, while without him, they lose a little over 3 wins and drop 4 spots, which is very significant in the brutal Western Conference. Such is the positive impact a player like Kevin Durant has. And as we saw last year in Memphis, when Marc Gasol missed 23 games, they struggled mightily to catch up just to secure a 7th seed. We know the Thunder had many lineups with negative net ratings last year, so they had better hope no one else gets hurt in the meantime, or their title aspirations will have to wait another year.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?